Let's go.
Good day, I am Luc Mougeot. I'm a professional in residence currently with the School of International Development and Global Studies at the University of Ottawa in Canada. I'm pleased to make this presentation on the history of urban agriculture for Les Cols Verts and Rouanet. I led a program at Canada's International Development Research Centre for research into urban agriculture in Global South countries over a period of 10 years. And we'll draw from that experience and readings and work with the partners in the North and the South to offer you this presentation. The lead question here will be, through ancient times, the Industrial Revolution and the urban age, what guidance may history offer to today's cities for them to make agriculture part of them? At least 5 red threads through classical and medieval cities' own experience, sorts of principles that they followed to integrate agriculture into urbanity stand out. One, in cities that were crucibles of power, cult, and wealth, agriculture was no sign of backwardness. Quite to the contrary. Look at Uruk, Mari here in Syria, Babylon, Machu Picchu, and medieval Paris. 2, yes, nobility and aristocracy did hold privilege to practice urban agriculture, but the authorities also supported schemes for lower class groups, such as workers domus culte in 18th century Rome, or commoners chinampas in medieval Tenochtitlan. 3, cities were not cheap artifacts. Subsidiary land use, UA, help to optimize returns on land and water investments. In Persian cities under Emperor Darius I, walled gardens called paradises were associated with hydraulic facilities to maximize the use of water. 4, UA systems took a variety of designs, making creative use of local site and other conditions. 15th century Machu Picchu was a marvel of hydraulic engineering, a canal network irrigating some 40 cultivated terraces. And 5, cities concentrated, of course, the assets needed to push the limits of what was then technically possible. Breakthroughs in ancient cities ranged from solar reflectors and protection against frost to new cultivars, harvesting machines, and water-heated greenhouses. The Industrial Revolution made the toxic and crowded urban environment much less amenable to many forms of urban agriculture, particularly in inner cities. But some force majeure would also press governments into supporting massive self-provisioning schemes in suburban areas and experiment in European powers' colonies in the Global South. Throughout world wars and economic depression, Global North governments worked with city authorities to promote allotment gardens in suburban areas for lower income families to grow food and keep livestock, a strategy that would be emulated in the Global South in the late 20th century in countries such as Tanzania and Mozambique, the Philippines, Cuba, Venezuela, and Brazil. Global North governments also supported some short-lived but influential planning experiments, such as garden cities and subsistence homesteads. This in response to the blight of industrial centers and a longing of populations to reconnect with nature. Garden city paradigms would influence master city planning in French colonial Indochina and Africa, as well as British colonial territories and former Palestine. The case of Tel Aviv, for instance. Here is a late Finland-sponsored plan for Tanga in Tanzania. Garden city or not, segregative European planning frameworks imposed on colonial cities would strictly regulate urban agriculture and central city districts, while practice remained largely informal in the peripheral districts. Since the 1950s, in the Global South, a cultural reappropriation of indigenization of the city through massive migration has been pivotal to the phenomenal growth and diversification of UA, including livestock and aquaculture, off-ground and soilless systems. On humanitarian grounds and thanks to civic activism, more post-colonial governments have been turning away from repression and have been looking to accommodate a wider range of practices in unconventional spaces. Cultivated open space within the city limits of Harare, for instance, doubled in 4 years during hard economic times. Growing local government empowerment, external assistance, and South-South cooperation have led local and some national governments in Latin America, Asia, and sub-Saharan Africa to promote safer, more affordable, and productive UA systems for different reasons: to cope with food supply and affordability crises, to tackle other urban challenges, from youth employment to use of vacant space and natural hazard mitigation. As a stepping stone as well, more recently, into more comprehensive urban food policy planning. For over more than 20 years now, the RUAF Global Network, for instance, and its partners have been contributing significantly to such efforts. Do look into present-day Chinese and other Asian cities to see what the future holds for urban agriculture elsewhere in the world, particularly with such cities spearheading vertical farms and urban agriculture districts. I leave you with the global estimates for individuals engaged in urban agriculture and hectares under cultivation in intra and peri-urban areas around the world. Thank you.